Hi, everyone. My name is Allison Greedle. I'm an account executive here at Rangeforce for the Northwest, along with Chris Hughes, our sales engineer, also handling the Northwest. I'd like to thank my special guest, Devin Johnstone, senior staff security engineer at Palo Alto. And I'll let you introduce yourself and talk a little bit about how you came to be there.
Hi everyone, Devin Johnstone. I'm part of Palo Alto Networks Internal Security Operations Center team. Our responsibility is protecting Palo Alto Networks internal infrastructure and our employees. So we are not customer facing. We very much operate like a customer of Palo Alto Networks ourselves. We just happen to be the internal team protecting our own organization. I've been at Palo Alto Networks for the past 4.5 years. I joined when we were just at the start of building our Security Operations Center team. Prior to Palo Alto Networks, I was part of the original SOC team at the Royal Bank of Canada. So I've had the opportunity to participate in building security operations centers, both at a large company that has 80,000 employees and now a much smaller company that is growing very quickly. And that is where most of my professional experience has been.
Okay, thank you. So for those who are unfamiliar with Rangeforce, we are a cloud-based cybersecurity training platform with individual and team-based capabilities. We have hundreds of hands-on training modules that allow individuals to develop soft skills and optimize retention. Our cyber range allows teams to interact and train on current threat vectors. So I'd like to go into just a couple questions for you. Devin, I know a lot of people are curious, what does your SOC team look like and the skill levels for those individuals?
So the size of our SOC team now is 17 full-time employees, 10 of whom are the traditional analysts doing the alert response and incident response for Palo Alto Networks internal environment. So the 10 analysts are split between 2 office locations. We have our original SOC team that's located at Palo Alto Networks headquarters in California. And just in the past couple of weeks, we've been standing up a second SOC team located out of Tel Aviv, which is Palo Alto Networks' second largest office location. And we figured as we've been growing, it would be valuable to have some local feet on the ground over there. So those 10 analysts are split between the 2 office locations. And then the other 7 of us are in supporting roles, building automation, log management, data loss prevention, enabling those analysts to do their work. In terms of skill set, we're a pretty even split of folks who had SOC experience on their resume. They came from other security operations centers. They knew how to do the incident response. And then the other half of the team, we've cherry-picked from technically skilled areas within Palo Alto Networks. An example is somebody who has experience building Active Directory domains. Who better to teach us how to secure a Windows environment than the person who built it? We've also got an individual who had been building automation in Cortex XOR, our automation platform, for a couple of years. And we brought them on board in the SOC and taught them how to do the incident response side. So we've kind of cross-trained between the individuals who had the SOC experience and those who hadn't.
That's interesting. We see that a lot of companies picking different people that don't have necessarily specific SOC experience for the roles. How did you, I guess, come about for training for those team members?
Palo Alto Networks has for a while given us funding to allow employees to go and pick their own training. So we get an annual budget for individuals to either go to a conference like the Black Hats and DEF CONs of the world, or to take hands-on courses, as well as online courses like SANS or ISC Squared. And it's really up to them to pick and choose how they want to allocate that.
Okay. So I guess what brought you to Rangeforce specifically, since you allow the individuals to pick their current trainings? What made you guys decide to pick a particular training that was going to be used across the board?
So we actually stumbled upon Rangeforce by accident, and what first caught our eye was the hands-on labs. So I'm not an individual who likes to sit through 5 days of an online course of somebody speaking to a PowerPoint. I can't digest that information after the first couple hours of the first day. You've lost me. But with Rangeforce, the hands-on labs that are not giving away all of the answers right away. You actually have to learn the content a little bit, and then you actually get to walk through these very realistic scenarios and hands-on labs. That was the big differentiator for us, because I feel like a lot of those courses that you can take that are very, very expensive, where somebody talks for 80% of the day and then the labs are a little bit of the time at the end. Rangeforce is kind of the other way around. It is the focus on the hands-on work, and you do a little bit of reading to figure out what the use case is, but then you spend most of the time actually walking through the scenario. And I thought that was really unique and personally way more interesting than sitting through a 5-day course of someone speaking to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and we think that's great too. um, and I know you had mentioned too that the cost benefit for that versus some of those other programs that you have a whole year to access that content, and you can repeat modules as much as you want. What would you say has been the impact for your team, specifically the individuals that did not have previous SOC experience?
I think both the training those individuals who didn't have the previous SOC experience or as much SOC experience, because those of us who did come from other SOCs came with varying years of experience. So both enhancing our skills as those individuals. And then the other interesting thing that has happened is, because there are the different learning paths within Rangeforce, we've got the blue team and the red team, and then the general technical knowledge. What I'm finding is the folks in the SOC are actually taking the opportunity to go and learn things different from their day-to-day job. When you get prescribed training for the work that you're already doing, sometimes it can cause some eye rolls and go, well, I do this every day. Why do I need to learn about this in another training course? But we're not telling them which learning paths to take. We're kind of giving them the whole platform and saying, spend some time in it. And they're actually picking those learning paths where they don't have a lot of experience. Like the SOC is picking the red team exercises, which is helping them build transferable skills and also giving them that flexibility to decide, when I'm going to sit down and do training today, what do I actually want to learn, rather than being told this is what you're going to learn.
That's really nice to see employees going above and beyond and outside the scope of their job duties. And, I'm curious, we have, for those that aren't familiar, we have assessments that allow you to see where different skill levels lie. Have you guys uncovered from those different skill sets or individuals' skill sets that they didn't even realize that they had, strengths in different areas and potential interests for moving within the department into different roles?
That is a great question, and not something that we've looked at in terms of who's excelling where. But that is definitely something that I could see us doing, because we do have that detailed reporting of who's actually attempting what modules and who's doing well at them. That could be a great barometer of, well, you've been doing this blue team work for a long time. Have you ever thought about branching over into the red team? We're encouraged at Palo Alto Networks to look for opportunities to do lateral moves into other areas of interest. As somebody who's worked in a SOC for the past 8 years, the most common thing that happens to SOC analysts is they're stuck in an environment where they've been working the same alerts for 2 or 3 years, and they get bored, and that's why they go move on to another company. But we are given the opportunity to make moves into other areas, and allowing the members of the team to actually explore what the work is that those other teams do by doing Rangeforce training could be inspiring them to actually make those moves into kind of new work that they had never thought of exploring.
That's awesome. It's nice to see that employees are encouraged to do that. And I think it's nice to find strengths, and pursue those interests. Sure. So I have to ask something. Chris is always talking about the competitive nature of the leaderboard. Dare I bring that up? So I'm curious now, with the team out in Tel Aviv, Do you guys have any competitive nature between the California-based team and the Tel Aviv team? Or is that
Yeah,
a sore subject?
definitely. Yeah. So how I have been encouraging the members of our SOC team to take training is by gamifying it. And Rangeforce does have the badges that they can earn built in. But personally, what I've been doing is reporting out on a weekly basis. We have our weekly team meeting where all the members of the SOC team in both SOC locations join, and we kind of do our stand up for the week. I'm reporting out really who's been making the most progress, who's done the most modules, top 5 leaderboard, who's done the most that month. We're giving them a minimum and saying, please try and get at least 2 modules done, but also showing who's actually gone in and done more than that. And the Tel Aviv team is absolutely blowing the California team out of the water. And I hope they watch this webinar and see that I've put them on blast. But they're definitely the team that is taking the reins and really diving into Rangeforce training. And they're showing us up over here on the West Coast.
That's nice. Do you feel that it's helped within a remote world? I don't know. I guess I can show this. You have a slide here of before pandemic and after, working from home. I don't know what Tel Aviv's situation is, if that is also remote or employees working remotely.
Yeah, absolutely. The SOC teams used to be 100% in person. So before the pandemic, it was the expectation that everybody would be in the office. On this slide here on the left side, that's actually a screenshot of the SOC that we have at headquarters in California. And so when we moved to the remote SOC model, there was, the initial questions for everyone around remote work. Are we going to be able to be as effective? Are we going to be able to collaborate as much as we did in person as a team? And some of the metrics that we have on this slide here are actual SOC performance metrics that we report on for how well we're doing, how quick our response times are. And what this really shows is not a lot changed. We were able to continue to collaborate and to meet all of our performance requirements as a SOC team, even being remotely. So ways that I can see Rangeforce helping us in this regard are that when we used to have to go on site for training, sometimes we didn't have as much option for travel. Maybe we couldn't have the whole SOC team go away and all take a course together because somebody needed to be working in the SOC, but having the ability to allow them to do it on their own time. We say, try to get a minimum amount of modules done, but it's up to you to decide when you're going to do that over the course of the month, rather than saying, this is the week that your course runs, use it or lose it, has probably been one of the most impactful ways that we've been able to get them to actually do their training while working remotely.
Yeah, absolutely. What would you say would be some key factors that you guys were looking at when considering different training options?
I think there was 2 major components to our decision to start using Rangeforce. One was that focus on the hands-on learning. And I've done a lot of courses where there is still a focus on the hands-on labs, but they kind of give the answers away. You don't really have the opportunity to think for yourself and even try to struggle through it a little bit. Whereas Rangeforce, I find there is a lot more focus on the, not giving you the whole bone right away. Like, we're going to give it halfway, and then you've got to actually read the content and think for yourself, and then use the hints if you need to actually get through the content. So the hands-on focus, as well as the quality of those hands-on labs, was a big factor. And second, you already mentioned, is the cost. It's much cheaper than those courses that run for a week and cost several $1,000s. We can get the whole SOC team trained for a fraction of that.
Absolutely. Now, we know training is important, right? And finding time in the real world is difficult. How do you guys prioritize training? Other than the competitive nature.
Yeah, this is the other big advantage of not having a scheduled course where, the course is saying it's going to run from Monday till Friday, 8 till 5, and it's up to you to join and do your labs, because we're allowing them to schedule when they're going to do their own training. It's their responsibility to go into Rangeforce, and it's their responsibility to get a couple modules done. They can schedule it whenever they like. We're giving them a minimum on a monthly basis and saying, you should get at least this many done per month. And then because we're reporting that out, there's a bit of the name and shame going on and gamifying it because we've got the teams competing to see who can complete the most. That's been the most successful strategy for encouraging training to be completed.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I know we're excited to be building content, but was that something that was also a factor for you guys for picking a particular platform?
Definitely. Because we're Palo Alto Networks, we're obviously using all of our own platform. We don't use a lot of third parties, save for a few areas where we don't have our own solution internally, where we are using another third-party vendor. For the most part, it's entirely our platform. So there's not a lot of value for us, per se, training our SOC analysts in other security technologies that are not Palo Alto. So something that I really appreciate that Rangeforce has been working with us on is building cyber range content using our own products. And this is a win-win for all of us because we're able to build these cyber range scenarios using our products to train our own SOC analysts, but then other users of Rangeforce are going to get to try out Palo Alto Networks products through this content. So I'm really excited to see where we're able to go with those cyber ranges that we're currently building.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's something that I love about the platform as well when talking to other clients of something similar, being able to train on, enterprise or have enterprise licenses within the platform to those different tools. Especially, if a company is looking at purchasing, your products and implementing them, that they could be training on them before that implementation begins, so that in an attempt to reduce headaches when that happens, right? Because that can be stressful for everybody when that happens, as far as trying to train people while also now using the tools. So, yeah, absolutely.
Certainly.
Well, I want to thank everyone for joining today and appreciate your time, Devin, and going through this with us. And we're excited to be partnering with you on this and building out content for others as well. So thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Bye.